What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to The Haunted Beard. My name is Jake. Thank you for joining me today. For today's video, I'm actually going to do something, I guess, a little bit different. I'm going to talk about a couple different movies that I just recently watched. Both of these are 2022 releases and were on my kind of anticipated to watch list. And so I wanted to talk about just two of them in one video, mainly because I don't feel like I have a whole lot to say about either one of them. Enough to warrant an entire individual video for each one of them. But that being said, let's get into this thing. So the first thing I watched was We're All Going to the World's Fair, and this premiered at Sundance earlier this year. And this is a film about this teenager. Her name is Casey, as she records and documents herself playing this online, it's a MMORPG, a mass multiplayer online role-playing game. But it's a horror game, and so she documents that as she's playing it, and as I guess, sort of the lines between fiction and reality kind of start being blurred. And this one was interesting. This is a very kind of stripped down, minimalist type of a story here, and although it is technically not considered a found footage, it feels in a way quite a bit like a found footage. And so you've got a handful of the shots where she is simply addressing the camera as she is recording and uploading these videos, and you get a lot of kind of long extended tracking shots and a lot of just handheld camera and just the presentation of it all with her addressing the camera directly and all that. There's a lot of this that feels like a found footage, even a bit of like a documentary type. And so I enjoyed that presentation. This one is, I'm still not totally fully sure what to make of it, but it was intriguing, and I feel like the presentation of it was kind of unique and different. It's slower paced. It does feel a bit slow at times. It's very patient. It's very quiet, and I think to some degree it does feel a bit repetitive. I wish that there was maybe just a little bit more from a story perspective, because it definitely feels repetitive at times, but I think this film captures something that other films have attempted, but it does so in kind of a unique way, and looking at sort of the online culture, and it kind of touches on people who sort of live online, and they have these online personas, and sort of it deals a little bit with like a perception versus reality thing, that who you really are and how you present yourself online, and how much people can get wrapped up into these online lives. And so it touches on that a little bit. It touches on, I think, some sort of mental health type stuff as well. And so I do think that there is an audience that this will connect with quite well. And there are parts of it that connected with me, but it didn't quite fully connect. And so it is a horror film, but it is definitely a different type of horror. And so it's a movie that I would say I kind of more appreciated and it maybe respected more than I actually enjoyed it. But either way, the director here is on my radar now, so I'm looking forward to what she brings us next. There is some value to it. There is some talent there. It has a unique perspective and a unique voice to it. It just didn't quite connect, and I do think it got a little bit repetitive as well. And so anyways, there is something there though. And so I am looking forward to seeing what the director brings us next. I think for a grade for this one, I'm probably going to be at like a 6.5, maybe a 7 if I'm feeling generous, kind of somewhere right in there. So those are just a few thoughts on We're All Going to the World's Fair. Next up, I saw one of my most highly anticipated movies of this year, and that is the new film by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, Something in the Dirt. And this is a film they actually made during quarantine, during the pandemic. And so this is an extremely kind of low budget film that is just overflowing with all sorts of crazy, wild, and big ideas. And there is a handful of things here that I liked and think are pretty good. Ultimately, though, it left me a bit unsatisfied. It tells the story of two guys. One of them just moves into the same apartment, and so they meet each other, and something happens, sort of this paranormal scientific type anomaly or occurrence that happens inside one of their apartments. And so they decide to make a documentary about this and investigate to try to figure out what this is all about. And so the film, it just kind of ultimately sort of leads you down this rabbit hole as these two guys get into trying to explain and understand this paranormal type event that is occurring in their apartment. And it's got just all sorts of kind of paranoia vibes, conspiracy theory vibes, mystery to it as well. And I feel like the film just kind of, dump trucks a whole bunch of thoughts and ideas on you without really kind of fleshing any of them out. There's a handful of, I'd say maybe a couple of more sort of thought-provoking conversations where you kind of get to expand and flesh out some ideas a little bit. One of the selling points here is just that the directors are the two main stars in this movie, and so there's definitely some chemistry there with their relationship and everything that I think comes across pretty well. But ultimately, like I said, this one left me just a bit unsatisfied. That it kind of builds up just this sort of wild, crazy thing, and in the end, it just didn't really land the ending for me. It doesn't really add up to a whole lot, and I felt, unfortunately, a little disappointed and unsatisfied with the ending. But I do think that there is still enough there to appreciate, and it was just kind of amazing sort of what they were able to do. This movie has a really unique editing style to it as well. As they're making this documentary, some of their footage that they're recording, this one also too, ironically enough, has a bit of a found footage type feel to it. We get some of the final documentary footage edited in with the movie footage. And also too, whenever they're talking about whatever they're talking about, you get just a variety of images and little flashback videos and pictures just edited into the movie itself. And so it just, I can imagine editing this thing had to have taken the vast majority of the time. And so there is just some kind of interesting creative choices there with the editing in this thing that really sort of liven this thing up and sort of set it apart. But like I said, it was just ultimately left unsatisfied with the end. I do think there is enough there, though, to at least warrant a watch. I would just maybe go in with more moderate expectations. So I think for this one, I'm going to go 6 out of 10 for Something in the Dirt. Those are my thoughts on those two movies. Thank you once again so much for watching. Hit me up down below, though, if you've seen one of these and what your thoughts were. Would love to hear from you. That's all I got for you. Hit that subscribe button, though, if you like content like this. I greatly appreciate it, and I will see you soon on The Haunted Beard.